guys, Jay here. Welcome to Eons of Battle. The holidays are upon us, and I'm wondering if any of you guys are gonna end up with some grandma cash, some Gma cash, that cash that you kinda is burning a hole in your pocket and you really want to spend it. I buy lots of tabletop wargaming related stuff, and most of it turns out to just kind of be whatever. I don't end up using it that much, or it just kind of sits on a shelf, warm in the shelf. But there have been a few purchases that I have made over the years that I have actually found incredibly useful, and I use every single time I play Warhammer 40k, and they're kind of fun purchases. The first one is this little boogie board. Now, boogie boards are fun toys. You can draw on them and have your stuff show up, but these are really, really good for tabletop wargaming. In my attempt to be a competitive tabletop gamer, I have played in a bunch of tournaments at this point, and actually a buddy of mine who plays Genestealer Cult, he turned me on to these. There is a tabletop wargaming app. I think it might be just called Tabletop Battles. It's very good. You should be using that because it can keep track of absolutely everything for you, your command points and your command point usage, what your opponent is using their command points on. I don't like the app because it's fussy and it's another thing to keep track of during the game, and I don't like trying to figure out how the app works. One time I accidentally scored for like No Man's Land in the wrong phase, and it like messed up my scoring for the rest of the game, and so I had to like accidentally fail to do another. It was a mess. But the boogie board is lovely because you just take out the little included pen and you just write yourself notes of everything going on in the battle. It's really, really fun. I mean, it's a toy. It's actually fun to use. I love this way more than the app. I just write our names down at the top and then start keeping track of all of the different things going on in the game. Sometimes I start to just doodle little pictures to myself. It's really, really good. And I use it every single time I play games now. And I have a folder on my phone because every time I'm done with a game, I just quick grab a picture of the boogie board, and then I draw a little something. I can erase it and then immediately start drawing again. And now on my phone, like when I'm drifting off to sleep, I can be scrolling on my phone and I can be looking at all of the games that I've played. And yes, the app does this for you too, but it's annoying. The app is annoying to use. The boogie board is fun to use. And so when I'm drifting off to sleep, I can be looking at my win-loss ratio, and I can be like, man, am I on a losing streak with my Yndrasta Spearhead? But my ogres are going strong. I love the boogie board. Bought this from my friendly local game store. It came in a bunch of different fun colors. Almost went with pink, but I decided to go with orange. But if you had a little Gma cash, you could get yourself a boogie board and just have a little bit more fun playing your games. And speaking of having fun playing your games, one little thing that's always existed, but I've never really gotten into it until this year, is little like rulers. We all remember the whipping sticks from back in the days when you'd buy a starter set for Warhammer 40,000. And those are really good because if you caught your friend like right on the elbow, it would really hurt them. But not really, but it would sting. But you never did anyone ever use the whipping sticks? Did you hold up that big, obnoxious red plastic and you can't even read the hash marks? And did you everyone uses a tape measure, and tape measures are great, but these are actually fantastic. I bought this one from Green Stuff World years ago, and I never really used it, but now that I'm playing like Age of Sigmar and Moonstone and even Warhammer 40,000, this is actually fantastic. You got an 8-inch side, a 4-inch side, a 2-inch side, and a 1-inch side, and this lets you move so precisely, because when you start to play the game in a really sweaty way, movement matters a ton, and you don't want to cheat and give yourself extra movement. You don't want to cheat yourself out of movement, and you don't want to let your opponent get away with anything, because I sometimes measure for Sean just to make absolutely sure. And what's great about these is you can walk them. So with this, I can know that this is 2 inches, and so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I can lay the ruler down, and I know that behind this is exactly as far as my guys can move. No cheating, but very precise movement. It also helps that this thing is just kind of fun to hold. You can wave it around like a knife. And speaking of knives, I actually bought this one from the Blackstite Studios booth at Adepticon. It's for a game called Don't Look Back, if you can imagine. It says it right there. I mean, this is super fun to use. It's a little bit more unwieldy and obnoxious than the very precise laser cut one, But this is still really, really fun. You get to kind of pretend that you're Jason Voorhees. I guess he had a machete. I guess this is more Michael Myers, not the comedy actor. But these are super great. I got these two for free from the Dragonfall Charity Gaming Festival. These are perfect for Age of Sigmar because 3 inches is a very important measurement. You have to stay 3 inches away from your opponents. So these are great for just slapping them down on the battlefield next to your opponent's model so that you can make sure that you're moving precisely. This is another one from Games Workshop. This is actually painted gold because this is the trophy that Sean got for winning a Spearhead tournament. I should have won that one, but I didn't. I came in 3rd place because I lost I was undefeated for the day and I scored the most points overall that day, but I lost my last game. And so that's why I didn't end up with the gold rat stick. I still don't like sticks. Sticks they're not super fun to hold. They're not super fun to measure and read on the tabletop. And it's not super easy to read. Games Workshop should just rip off everybody else, but not like the little one that they made for Kill Team, because those are also kind of weirdly annoying. This is just a laser cut one that I also got from Blacksite Studios. Little stick like this, it's actually super, super fun. If you're ever playing with somebody like at a friendly local game store and they have something like this, ask them where they got it. Number one, you're breaking the ice, you're chit-chatting, you're talking. But these are really, really good. And everyone makes a dozen of these things. You can probably find one that is themed around your army or faction or just looks really cool to you. I don't quite get this Green Stuff World one, but it works really well. I don't know why it has cutouts for the base sizes. I guess so you can double check if you're looking at your friends' models and you're like, those guys are really cool. I wonder if they're standing on 32mm bases. I guess you could do that with this and it's kind of cool. It makes, it uses up that space well, but these types of measuring sticks are actually super, super useful. I do wish that this one was 9 inches because 9 inches is kind of an important size for Warhammer 40,000. If you deep strike or you come in from reserves, you have to be 9 inches away from your opponent. You have to be further than 9 inches away from your opponent. That way you're not within melter range right off of the deep strike, which is important, but a little bit lame. But if I had just another inch, I could make one of these. I have rulers. I could just cut it out of whatever I want, but the laser cut ones are really fun and nice. And I actually, on my Etsy account right now, I think I have a shopping cart full of more of these things because I like them. This is what I use now instead of the tape measure. And it's just fun. When I'm just, waiting for my opponent to be done with stuff, I'm just waving this around, pretending it's a lightsaber. It's really, really nice. And speaking of things that are really, really nice, I was never a dice tray guy. But then I bought a dice tray, and it turns out it's really, really nice to have a dice tray. You want one with nice, shallow walls so that your opponent can easily see what's going on. Because nothing's worse than when your opponent tells you what happened, but you weren't paying attention or you weren't looking. And so they're like, I got all my hits off. And then you're like, okay, I believe you. But in your heart of hearts, you kind of don't because you wish that they didn't get all their hits off. I got this one on Amazon. It's the Amazon Basics product. Don't get this one. This one kind of stinks because the felt isn't actually glued to the cardboard. And so it's kind of wrinkling up a little bit. And so Sean uses this one a lot. And whenever he always, and dice will end up cocked because of these wrinkles, and then he'll re-roll it into a success. It's not true. That's not true, but that's what in my head, that's what I believe in my heart is happening. And so I would try to get a nice one. I actually found these at Dragonfall. These were made by an artist, Joe Moreno. He's really good. He literally painted these. Like this is actual paint on top of a dice tray. He also did the artwork for the Dragonfall Charity Gaming Festival. And these are really, really nice. You gotta snap them together. This is an absolutely perfect size for skirmish games. They feel small. They're really pretty and that's why I bought them, but they feel a little bit small. But for games like Necromunda, I guess you don't really roll a lot of dice in Moonstone, but definitely for Spearhead, even though Spearhead, you roll like a maximum of maybe 20 dice. This absolutely fits the bill and it lets you roll all of your dice in this small of a space as opposed to having them launch across the entire table. I can't think of anyone I play with who often launches dice off the table. It definitely isn't Sean. But dice trays are a really, really nice little thing that I've only started using this year. Often we play games of like Spearhead where we've got like 2-on-2, And so I actually kind of do need to get a third one. I really need to get rid of this one. I don't know if Joe, maybe I need to go to another convention Joe's at so I can buy some more of these. But this is like the perfect size. They do make other ones, like they make those big octagonal ones that also have a rim around the edge where you can put your dice. I feel like those are kind of overkill because they're a circle, so they're extra big. And then that ring, you're not using that ring to store your dice. All of the pickup games I play at the shop, people have ones a lot more like this than those giant circular ones. But I like these a lot. And they give you back the clink. Remember back in the days when we would play at like the friendly local game store, or people would make game boards where it's a giant piece of plywood covered in glue and sand, and you would roll those dice and it would be thunderous. It would be kaboom, and you'd hear the rattle of those dice. But now that we all play on really, really nice neoprene mats, it kind of softens it. You don't really hear the dice anymore. When you use the dice trays, it kind of it's not the cacophonous kaboom of the old school gaming tables, but it's just a nice rustle. A nice, you hear that resin really clink and clatter, and it makes for a really, really nice experience. It also helps if you have some custom dice or some very interesting dice, maybe even Eons of Battle dice, available at eonsofbattle.com. EonsOfBattle.com is the very best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on our new monthly terrain packs or any previous pack we have ever made. For the month of December, we have made The Fall, Part 1, Buildings, the easiest way to get a ton of terrain really fast. This set focuses on small printable decorations for cardboard, foam core, and Pringles cans buildings. Build out a grimdark militarized fort dripping with details, with a selection of sandbag-laden battlements, barbed wire defenses, armored wall decorations, and noble eagle lookout posts. And it has printable textures to add detail and decoration to take this terrain to the next level. This is the first of 3 releases that focus on getting a proper 40k board up and running and as easily as possible. These are all of the Wargaming purchases that I have found incredibly useful. They're not the craziest purchases or the most amazing purchases. Those usually don't work out. Like when I buy something, I'm like, oh, this is gonna change the way I hobby. It always doesn't work out. But then when I just get a little thing like this, I use this almost every single day. The Boogie board. Every game that I've played, like every single miniature wargame that I've played since I got the Boogie board, the score has been kept on the Boogie board. And also it's got magnets on it. And so here at EonsOfBattle.com, we take to drawing memes on the Boogie board and then sticking it to things that are made of metal. And so we need more of these, honestly. But it's super, super fun. And please, if any of you guys have any little wargaming thingies that you have found that have actually changed the way that you wargame, please leave them in the comments below.